Mm.
There we go. There you go. How are you, mate? I'm doing good.
All good, all good, all good.
Good. So, how's your life been going then recently?
What, life in general or just like
Yeah,
MMA career?
just give us both.
Yeah, obviously in life, MMA's been a bit slow the last, like obviously since about April and last year. But life's been a million miles an hour. Obviously, I've gotten married. I've got a baby on the way.
When did you get married?
Um, November,
Oh,
November.
congratulations,
Just a
mate.
quiet one, but yeah, yeah. So yeah, life outside of MMA has been fairly a million miles an hour and in a good way. MMA's been a bit slow, but we keep moving. Hopefully now this year the MMA will start picking up again.
Yeah. So, I think even what was I going to say? You got into a beef with Paddy the Baddy,
I
as
did
everybody
indeed.
knows now. Yeah. How did that even start?
Um, just mate, I must have answered this question so many times, but like basically he
Yeah.
started commenting on one of my fight videos of my finish and we started giving each other a bit of shit, and then egos clashed. You know, we're fighters, so we do have egos. One thing led to another, and he called me out for a straightener. I responded with a video on my page, which kind of went a bit. I wouldn't say viral that one, but like it went quite big. A lot of people saw it. We organized the time in a place which was in my gym in Manchester Top Team, and then we got it cracking. You know?
Yeah. So, I noticed that he holded the choke after you tapped.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of him holding the choke after you tap?
Um, I think people are being a bit soft about it, to be honest, because we were having a fight basically. It was in shin pads and big gloves for legal reasons, obviously, but we were having a fight, you know. And if I had knocked him unconscious, I probably would have had to be pulled off him after giving him a couple of extra shots. It is what it is. I went in there knowing full well that if he got a choke, that he was going to try and hold on to it, and he wasn't going to respect my tap. The tap was just purely because it's instinct to tap when you're getting choked, as anyone who trains will know. But I was fully aware that like I probably would go asleep, which I nearly did. I didn't go fully asleep, but I definitely felt the tunnel closing in, you know.
So going into that, you were aware that you might be against the odds.
I was aware that if he was to catch a choke, that I'd probably be going to sleep. But I did say to the lads, obviously in the gym, if he catches like an arm or a shoulder or like a leg lock or something, like yeah, if he's not respecting the tap there, like definitely break it up. 'Cause I couldn't afford to be getting injured
Yeah.
before I have a fight where I'm actually getting paid. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. So did you learn anything new about Paddy from sparring him that you were unaware of?
not really, not really. He has nice leg kicks, inside leg kicks. I came out southpaw. Obviously, I'm not actually a southpaw, but yeah, I just wanted to keep to the right, avoid his right hook, which I know is quite dangerous. He decided to go for the inside calf kick. Um, Not anything particularly new that I learned. No, like obviously, I probably should have known about the inside calf kick from the Bobby Green fight. Um, but other than that, no, I knew his grappling was good. You know, I knew his grappling was good. I knew his wrestling was good. I knew his jiu-jitsu was good. I wasn't like under any impression that it wouldn't be good. Um, but I felt like I could definitely hang with him on the feet if it was just a straight kickboxing round. I didn't feel like out of place or anything.
Yeah, I noticed it was quite close at the start when you were throwing the
Mm.
kicks back and forth. But
Yeah,
how have people's attitudes been towards you since the clip came out?
depends on who you ask, really. You know, obviously the Paddy does have a bit of a cult following, you know, and definitely like his cult followers have not been the nicest about the whole situation. But I'm not really arsed, you know. These aren't people that pay my bills. These aren't people whose opinions really matter to me. Um, couldn't give a toss, to be honest. Some people have obviously been given shit to Paddy, like you say, about like the choke, which I'm like, yeah, you know, don't be giving him shit about holding on to the choke. You wouldn't be giving me shit, or I wouldn't expect you to give me shit if I
Yeah.
landed a couple super necessary shots on him. So it is what it is. All in all, like, yeah, a little bit of hate, a little bit of love. You know, some people obviously acknowledging that I didn't look too out of place on the feet. Some people obviously loving the fact that I got finished by Paddy, but it is what it is. You know, this is the sport we're in. The fans can be very fickle and forgetful at times. So.
Yeah, so I bet that you're sick of talking about Paddy, so I want to move on now. The Octagon Challenge. You were coached by one of our friends, Shem Rock. What's it like being coached by Shem?
I mean, me and Shem go way back. Obviously, we got like well before Octagon Challenge. Like he was probably one of the first people that sort of convinced me to start doing MMA. I met him during COVID. Um, Ended up getting grappling rounds with him in the park randomly on like a hot summer's day, and obviously knew that he did MMA and such and such. I was just a jiu-jitsu guy at that stage. I was just been competing jiu-jitsu, so I was just waiting for all the jiu-jitsu gyms to get back open and jiu-jitsu competitions to get back on. Ended up started doing striking again during that whole period of lockdown. He come to train in the same striking gym as me. It was like it kind of snowballed into a thing of like, he cornered me my first two MMA fights, my first two amateur fights. Um, Cornered me against Solomon Simon also. So I have a long history of him with that. It wasn't like anything new being coached by him. Do you know what I mean? Like he's shown me a lot over the years anyway in terms of MMA and wrestling and wall stuff and that. So yeah, it wasn't like a new experience or anything.
Yeah, and you're at Manchester top team now, but you also train at the Dublin Combat Academy. So are you between gyms or do you primarily train in Manchester?
I mean, obviously, traveling to Dublin is a bit of a myth going back and forth. But when I am home in Ireland, I do go to Dublin Combat Academy to get some work in. Yeah, that would have been the gym that I started my MMA journey out of, I suppose you could say, from being a jiu-jitsu guy. I started striking there, got my striking up to scratch. Fought out of Dublin Combat Academy my first couple MMA fights, and obviously Dublin Combat Academy is primarily a Muay Thai gym. So I wasn't really training MMA until I moved to Manchester. But yeah, I still have a good relationship with the lads there. It's the best striking gym in Ireland, I would say. And yeah, whenever I'm back home, I definitely go in there and get some work in with Collie and Craig and all the lads.
So what was it that made you move to Manchester? Was it to train mixed martial arts instead of Muay Thai?
Yeah, there was that. Obviously, at the time I was fighting amateur, I was still working full time. I got a good job offer in Manchester, good like job in finance. I knew that there was good gyms in Manchester and the surrounding area. Like I knew that there was obviously Manchester top team. I knew Next Gen was only down the road. I knew that there was a deep history of MMA and martial arts in Manchester going back as far as like, SPG Manchester and Carl Tanswell and stuff. So, and then as well at the time that I moved over, COVID was still a thing. Lockdown was still a massive thing in Ireland. But in the UK, they'd sort of opened up. Like everything was open. You could work in the office. You could go into the office. You could go to the pub. You could go wherever you wanted to go. Where in Ireland, it was still very much a lockdown, work from home, like social distancing, all that shit. Everyone forgets about that shit. That was only a few years
Yeah,
ago, but yeah. So that was a big part of it as well. There's a load of different factors, to be honest. Like, but yeah, that was the bulk of it.
it was a very strange time. But what were you doing for work before you got into Octagon?
Before I got into Octagon,
I'm assuming that's when you quit your job, yeah?
nah, I quit my job just before my first amateur title fight against Chris Morris on UKFC. So I beat Solomon Simon. It was like quite highly rated, just about ready to go pro. I think he was at the time, and I beat him. And that was when my coach, I just joined Manchester top team, and that was when Carl Prince basically said, like, if you're gonna go at this, like, go at it 100%. Like, there's no point in doing a full-time job, training in the evening classes, not training with the pro team, and then like thinking that you're going to be getting anywhere at the top where you could go. So I quit my job. I started doing like PTs and stuff, started working in the gym a little bit to earn a bit of extra cash. Um, yeah, and just like obviously took a massive pay cut. Like I went from making a good chunk of money a month to not making as much, but just trusting the process and trusting that I was going to get to where I needed to get to.
Yeah. So in Manchester top team, do you think there's anybody flying under the radar who's not getting as much recognition as they deserve?
Mm, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of guys flying under the radar, you know. Malachi Edwards is one of those. I don't know how under the radar he is. I think people kind of know him, but Malachi Edwards, top welterweight. He's fighting tomorrow in Bradford. He's a top welterweight, long rangy like myself, but at welterweight, so even rangier. Um, Daniel Holt, um, up there with like one of the best strikers I've ever trained with. Like is elite of the elite when it comes to striking. His grappling's really come along as well now. He can grapple, he can anti wrestle. Um, Trying to think off the top of my head now. Most of the guys are actually like they're not flying under the radar now. They are actually in the limelight. You know, obviously, um, your Kiru's. He's just fought on Road to UFC. AB's just smashing it on PFL at the moment. Ibrahim fighting tomorrow as well on PFL or Bellator. I think it is Bellator or PFL tomorrow. Bellator, I think. Um,
PFL,
yeah,
the title fight.
PFL,
They got
PFL.
rid of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bellator. It's gone.
Yeah, so he's fighting tomorrow. So yeah, there's massive, and then obviously all the amateurs coming up as well. You've got like these are all pro guys I've mentioned, but there's amateurs coming up as well. That are probably going to be getting ready to be going pro soon. Reese Parr, 5-0 amateur. He's fighting the week before me on FCC. He's 5-0 as an amateur. He's ready to go pro soon. I say another couple of fights. So yeah, like loads of guys, loads of guys. Just go on the Manchester top teams topology, and like you'll see how many guys and records and the skill set that they bring.
Yeah, I've noticed like out of Manchester and Liverpool, that seems to be where all of the upcoming fighters are from. Like I'm from Newcastle, but we don't really have many fighters coming from our gyms to like the
Mm,
UFC or anything. Like obviously we had Mick Parkin from Sunderland, but
mm,
none of the guys from my gym are going to the UFC anytime soon, I don't think.
mm.
Well, we had Davy Grant, but that was the gym not
Yeah,
too
yeah,
far
yeah,
away, but same coaches.
yeah,
So you've got a fight against Robin Frank announced this week in March. So how do you think you
yeah.
match up against him?
I think I match up really well against him. He's a striker, as far as I've seen. Anyway, he doesn't really wrestle much. I'm sure he can wrestle and he can grapple, but I think primarily he is a striker. So it'll be a treat for the fans anyway. Maybe someone will actually try and stand up with me for once and not like try and grab hold of my legs. But I'm ready for him to grab hold of my legs if he does. Um, yeah, it's. I think it's a good matchup. We're two big lightweights. He's 5-0. He's got an O to lose. I've got an O to take. Um, he's Robin. I'm Batman. And I'm going to be robbing his O off him in his hometown, on his home soil. I'm sure he's going to have a big crowd there with him. All his family members are going to be there. They're all going to get to see him lose for the first time across amateur and pro. And I think no one's ever tested him like I'm going to test him.
Nice. What's it like being signed to Octagon compared to the amateur circuit?
Yeah, I mean, Octagon, they're one, if not the biggest promotion in Europe. They're up there in the top two, three biggest promotions in Europe. Um, this will be my fourth fight now with Octagon. My fourth professional fight with Octagon, and so far I've only ever fought in England for them. I've never fought on European soil, so it will be good to go to like a German card where it's going to be probably sold out, 14, 15,000 people. I'm the outsider coming in. There's going to be big boos coming in for me from the German crowd. Like I said, he's the hometown boy. And I'm going to beat him and I'm going to win the crowd over and then make some more fans. Simple as that.
Are you able to tell us what song you're going to walk out to?
I don't tell what song I walk out to, but it will be a German song. That's what I will say.
All right. So, as an Irishman as well, I'm assuming that you're going to be watching Paul this weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to watch him do the business.
Yeah, how do you think that fight goes with him and Usman?
Think he knocks Usman out in the third round. I think Usman will get frustrated when he can't do what he does. I think like everyone has this like sort of aura. Everyone sees this aura in the Dagestanis, especially if you're a Nurmagomedov and you come out of that
Yeah.
camp where like they're undefeatable because Khabib was undefeated, but like Islam's been knocked clean unconscious. You know, we just saw what happened with Marab and Umar. You know, and I think a similar thing will happen with Paul and Usman, where I think Usman might even win the first two rounds, but like try really hard to win those first two rounds. And when it doesn't go his way, he'll become smaller and smaller. And I think Paul will knock him out in the third or fourth round.
You ever been to train up at their gym?
In FAI,
Yeah.
I haven't, obviously I was on the show with Matt Elliott. I've been invited a load of times. I've just not gotten the chance, to be honest. Like I've been so busy with fights and everything else and life, like I said, getting married and having a kid now on the way. It's been hard to get over and get some training in, but I definitely will. I have a good relationship with the lads out there. I get on with them. I actually fought my first amateur fight on Cage Conflict, which is like the FAI home show. That's a show they put on. So yeah, I'll definitely be getting out there for some good hard grappling work because I know they're quite a grapple heavy gym soon.
All right, nice. Now, just before I let you go, I've got a quick fire round for you. Five things to
Okay.
answer really quick. So, what's your favorite post fight drink?
Powerade,
Strange. What's your favorite post fight meal?
jelly beans and a burger.
Strange again. All right. What was your toughest opponent so far?
Toughest as in hardest fight or toughest as in like tough?
Tough.
Bo
Even
Gavin,
one fighter you want to fight before all this is said and done.
Conor McGregor,
And finally, favorite fighter of all time.
Anderson Silva.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you for your time, mate. Anyways, good luck with your
Absolutely.
next
Thank you for
fight. I'll
having
be
me on,
watching.
lad. Yeah, appreciate
Yeah.
it.
All right. Thank you very
All right, lad.
much.